Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Stellar Blade.
Stellar Blade. Want me to just throw up the trailer to
Let's go
start?
ahead and throw up the trailer because I am
Throw up the
so
trailer.
excited. Okay, so if you guys are just listening right now, we are looking at the main character. Her name is Eve, and as you can see on the screen, this is going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive. And I think this game looks really interesting. What we're seeing right now is all of these main characters, and she kind of unplugged that one like a Matrix. Did you see that plug in the back?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I thought that was really interesting. But the what we're seeing is a very interesting style world, and I think it does.
Welcome to the world.
I don't know. I see in your face that you're maybe not super excited about this game.
No. I'm actually pretty excited about this
Oh,
one.
are
I'll tell
you?
you why once we get there. Yeah.
Okay, so we're seeing everything that I love in games right now. We're seeing just a ridiculous amount of combat. We're seeing a cyberpunk kind of style. We're seeing ridiculous boss fights. And if you look at the combat that we're seeing in this trailer right now, this combat is so clean, and I'm just like, I'm so ready to just play this full experience. Are you excited at all for this?
I am. I've already said yes.
Okay.
Give me some time. Let you talk through the trailer.
Okay. So, guys, this game basically, you're gonna be playing as Eve. You're tasked with fighting I'm gonna butcher this.
Naytiba.
Naytiba. Yeah.
Ida, whatever.
Yeah, so basically, they're alien invaders that have taken over the Earth, and you and your clan are coming back to the Earth to kind of regain your territory, to take your territory back from these aliens. Eventually, you're gonna find this city called Zion, which is humanity's last surviving city on Earth. And I don't want to spoil too much of the storyline, but there's gonna be a storyline that ensues from there. But what we're looking at is just such a very, it's such a unique world. It's like these aliens have taken over and kind of made the world what they want it to be. So you're seeing what's like remnants of civilization, things that you recognize, but in a very different way. And I think it's a really unique setting.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think the fact that it's kind of using the cliche post-apocalyptic world of Earth, but it does it in a way that's definitely much more unique than what you would see in many other games. I like the fact that it feels like everything's in ruin, in a good way though. Like I said, it's not like over the top. The atmosphere of the game fits well with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think if you guys are just listening, we're seeing such a plethora of places, right? So we see a very dense city kind of environment, but we're also out in the desert, we're in the mountaintops, and I think it gives a very diverse kind of aspect to it. And what's really cool about this game is that this game is going to be a mix of it's hard to explain. It's going to be a mix of semi-linear, semi-open world. Did you see this?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so there's going to be sections that are very linear, but you're going to get to hub sections that are much more open world styles where you can kind of control what you do. And I think that's a really interesting concept. And I think it's something that I know the Souls-likes have kind of done this a little bit before, where you get in these main hubs and you can kind of go, around from there. But this is kind of different. The level of open world in their quote unquote semi-open world is pretty unique.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think looking at this part right now is the enemy design is so cool too. I like the way the enemies look, and with that I like the fast pacedness of the combat. I know it's like a Souls-like, but it's so much faster than other Souls-likes that I've seen.
That's a really interesting point. So I know a lot of people are calling it a Souls-like, and I actually played the demo, and it's not.
Really?
It's not at all. It really isn't. And I think what we're seeing right now is just a lot like what Adam said. If you guys are just listening, the combat that we're seeing is so fast-paced and so aggressive, but the way that they've done it, they're calling this a hack and slash, which I do agree that this is a hack and slash game. But much more of a fine-tuned hack and slash, and that
Gotcha.
it's a hack and slash that deals with precision. And like I said, I played the demo, and it's really, really well done. And that's kind of like the most important thing to me,
Hmm.
is the combat system. It has to feel fluid. And like I said, like I'm a huge Souls player. You guys know I love the Souls stuff. And anything that like tries to be a Souls like but isn't a Souls like, I
Hmm.
typically don't like. This combat system was so well crafted that I was just like, even though it's not typical Souls like combat system, I was
Yeah.
so immersed in it, and I wanted to get like really good at it.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes
Um.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Does okay? Did you get to face any bosses in the demo?
Yeah, so in the demo you get to play this like this section where you have your basic scrub enemies, and then you have your like what I like to call middle tier enemies,
Hmm.
which aren't bosses. They're just like kind of big boys that
Yeah.
hit really hard and need a little extra precision. And then there of course there's a boss battle at the end. And
Okay.
I think I think the way that they set up these enemies works really, really well. So your scrub enemies kind of attack you in groups. So you're fighting like hordes of these scrub enemies. And then once you get into the like the bigger boys, it kind of like warms you up for a boss battle. And then
Yeah.
when you get into the boss battle, you're almost like ready, and it's a really, really good combat system. And then a couple things on the combat system. It focuses where it is like a souls like is it focuses on you learning the move set of the enemy, so you really need to learn the move set, and just kind of prepare for that and plan your attack around it. But where it doesn't really focus on souls like stuff is it takes like, all right, so it takes the dodge mechanic, right, and it takes the parry mechanic, but it does it in a hack and slash method. So if you are able to dodge accordingly, or if you're able to parry accordingly, you're going to have these two bars that fill up, and one is a beta bar, a beta gauge, and one is a burst gauge. And then through successive parries and combos, like if you do sequences where you get parries and you combo back and stuff like that, it fills up the burst meter, and you have the ability to, once that meter is full, activate different buffs that make you stronger. On the other hand, that beta gauge is filled by like evading combat. So if you're being less aggressive, you're parrying and dodging out of the way, like that beta meter fills up. If you're being more aggressive and parrying and attacking, the burst meter fills up. And I think it's a really cool combat system because once you get that, so the beta, I know I'm like all over the place. It's so hard to explain. So once you get the beta gauge to fill up, you can do really cool things that are more skill based. So like piercing armor, stopping enemy combos, less aggressive type things. And the burst gauge, once you get that to fill up, is more aggressive stuff. So you're getting more boosts and you're dealing more damage. And I think it kind of like leads to let you play the game that you want to play, which is really interesting.
That's pretty cool. And then in the betas, you get to explore some of the leveling up, like the different attributes and like skills that you could upgrade.
Yeah, and so the skill tree is actually really, really interesting. And just
Hmm.
looking through the skills, I think they did a really great job with the skill tree. There's stuff in there that like I've never seen before. So
Hmm.
one of the things that I noticed, there's skills in there. It's like if you unlock this one skill, once you do a perfect parry, you teleport behind the enemy. And I was like,
Ooh.
yo, that is such a cool skill and something that like I've never seen before. So
Yeah.
I just started looking through the skill tree, and I'm like, these skills are actually really, really interesting and like really fun things that would really change the dynamic of the game.
Yeah.
And it's like I've seen this before in tons of have you ever played a game where it's you have a skill tree and you're just looking, you're like, this is all garbage. I don't
Yeah.
care.
It's
I
like I
don't
don't
care.
need any of
I don't
this.
need any of these skills. Like this game did a really great job on the skill tree and just introducing different skills that would really, really kind of change the combat system. So I was definitely excited for that. And I mean, just the amount of things that come with it, right? And it's like, o- okay, so this reminds me a lot of like Near Automata. You ever play that? Okay, so in your Automata, you get this like drone that kind of follows you around. And you can use the drone. The drone, like, you can tell it to do things, you can have it shoot, all that stuff like that. But this one takes that idea and it takes it to the next level because this drone during combat actually attaches to your wrist. So not only is this a hack and slash, but it's a shooter too. So you have the ability to shoot with that drone. And you do that seamlessly in the combat. And like, I'm not the biggest shooter guy. I'm just not a shooter guy. But when you work it into this hack and slash style of combat, I was just like, this is so sick. I was so excited to do it.
Okay, and then with it, so is the drone? Is it a companion too, or is that's like your like armor and stuff like that? And then I guess with the companions, did you get to experience like how those work at all?
Yeah, so it is your companion too, and a lot like near. The great thing about the drone is when you're not in combat, it's kind of free floating away from you. So you're also using the drone to like scan the area, and it'll show you where there's like hidden chests and like areas of interest and stuff like that. So it does work as a companion, and it does work in combat off of your wrist, but you can pull it onto your wrist and make it just like an actual gun that you can use in the combat. So it was it was a really interesting idea.
I think this is a game that like I was definitely excited, but the more you've kind of talked about it and described the demo, like I'm definitely gonna try the demo now, and I'll probably put this on one of my next wish list game as well. So found one, Dave. You found another one that I'm interested in.
I think it's gonna be super sick, and yeah, it draws. I can see comparisons to a lot of different games, namely Near. I think they really kind of followed the Near model and then took it to the next level. But I mean, it has remnants of Sekiro, it has remnants of Souls likes and stuff like that. But the true mechanics behind it is a hack and slash, and I think if you're not a Souls like and you're looking at it and you're like, this is just another Souls like it's not. So definitely give it a shot. Um, don't just pass it off as another Souls like, because I think it's something totally different. And I think it's something really unique. And I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I think it's gonna be kind of one of those hidden gems that like people play, and then after people play it and start talking about it, it's gonna blow. I think it's gonna blow up.
I'm excited to see this one. It's coming out this year as well, correct? Next month, this month.
You're coming out very soon. Yeah, it's coming out April 26th. The demo is already live. And that want to bring up this one point that I thought was really funny. So I don't know if you heard this, but everybody is saying that this main character Eve is like really like she's waifu. Yeah, she's really pretty. She's a waifu, right? So they did introduce what they call the skin suit, which I think is really, really funny. So it's a little bit of a skimpier outfit that I'm sure everybody's gonna love. But the one thing that they did with that is they hid the hard mode difficulty behind that skin suit. So if you want to play with that skin suit and you want to see her all skimpy, the game is gonna get crazy, crazy hard, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I think that's hilarious.
Man, that's kind of funny. More and more people are gonna play in the hard difficulty because of it. So
Oh
that's funny.
yeah, dude. And the boss that I played in the demo, like that boss hits hard. Like that was it was a challenging fight. I love
Hmm.
challenging fights. It was a challenging fight. It took me a couple tries, like where it is like a Souls like is this learning the enemy's move set and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Like I really had to learn the move set before I felt comfortable being like, yeah, I'm gonna tank him this time. So
yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
I thought it was really, really funny. Everybody was kind of like, "Oh, she's so hot, she's a waifu," and then they're like, "Well, if you want to see her skimpy, hard mode."
That's funny. That's funny. That's definitely a different way of doing things, I suppose. But
Yeah,
other than that, I think it is a good looking game. I like the graphics. This overall setting of the game looks really good. And like you said, the combat mechanics very unique. The skill tree is unique. So I think it's a game that I'm going to put on my list.
yeah. I played the demo, guys. It was a lot of fun. I mean, there's everything that you could want in the game. There's exploration. There's gear crafting. There's customizations. You do a lot of stuff with like the exo spines, where these customizations are not so much just aesthetics. Like it really does add to your skill set. So I mean, this is probably one of the games where I was like, dude, you could really have endless builds. Like you could play this game so many times, and just based on the skill tree and like your exoskeleton and like all that stuff, like you could have such a diverse range of builds for this game that it would be absolutely insane. And a couple other things, like there's QTEs, which I think is really cool. I know a lot of people don't really like the quick time events, but I think in a game like this where it's not all quick time events, it's just stuff that like happens within these cutscenes, I think is a really cool idea, because it could really affect what happens in the actual storyline. If you fail a QTE during a cutscene, you might go to a different branch of the story, which I think was a really interesting thing. It is set up so that if you don't want to deal with the QTEs, they will just automatically complete themselves. So if you just want to do the standard story and not deal with the QTEs, they do have that option. But there is the option to do it, and if you mess some stuff up, like it could really affect the storyline, which I think was really cool. They're saying that this is going to be 25 hours of gameplay, and if you're looking to do 100%, which is doing all of the optional stuff, all the collections, everything like that, it'll be about 50 hours of gameplay.
Hmm. Interesting. So it's a way to get your money's worth.
Yeah, and my absolute favorite thing, and it's so sad that we have to shout this out, but the developer has said that so this game is going to retail for $70.
Hmm.
The developer has said that there will be no further things to buy,
Hmm.
which I think is really really cool, and it says a lot about the gaming industry that we even have to say this. But they really wanted to just put out there that if you buy a $70 game, you are going to get a 100% complete game with no extra purchasing nonsense, which I think was
Right.
really really
Yeah.
cool.
You don't see that in too many video games nowadays. So it is refreshing to hear that. And just as long as it is a full $70 game when it does come out. So
So I got this one pre-ordered. I will keep y'all updated, but as of right now, this is one that I'm super excited for, coming out April 26th. Demo is out right now. If you are at all interested in this game, go ahead and play the demo because it was a lot of fun.